we would all agree that the animation is a positive way of telling people about Oliver's training. I as well was really pleased and proud to be part of the animation. And apparently it's been viewed by over 19,000 people already. It's now my great pleasure to introduce the people who have been such an inspiration to me and the rest of my team, the rest of my colleagues. Paula's drive is incredible, and what she's done is absolutely amazing. And I'd now like to ask Oliver's parents, Paula and Tom, to talk to us about the impact of Oliver's training.
My goodness, how do I follow these incredible, inspirational people? Thank you, Alan, Sean and Hazel. Your speeches were incredible. First of all, I'd like to start by saying a huge thank you to every single one of you for coming to attend today. I know you didn't have to, but you wanted to, and you wanted to come for the right reasons. My name is Paula McGowan, and I'm joined today by my wonderful second half, my other half, my husband Tom. We've come all the way from Australia, and we've returned today. We want to join you to talk about Oliver's training. Many of you will know that we are indeed Oliver's parents. Look, we are incredibly grateful to be with you in person today because we wanted to spend some time getting to know you, but most of all, we want to start by saying, as I've just said, a huge thank you. And that comes from the absolutely bottom of our hearts to every single one of you for your involvement in the success that is Oliver's training. And we know that if Oliver was here with us today, he would be more than proud of what you were all doing in honouring his memory, making his training the very best it can be, making a difference. And let's be honest, you, every single one of you, are saving lives. Now, when Oliver died, I had absolutely no idea at all about the unfairness that people with a learning disability and autistic people face across the whole of this country, if not the world, in accessing equal, timely and good health and care. I had absolutely no idea that many people could, and in many cases were, being mistakenly mistreated by the very people who were meant to care and support them. Many health and care workers usually have no idea that their behaviour towards people like Oliver, like many of you here today, can be confusing, scary, abusive, and actually downright dangerous. I had absolutely no idea that the voices of autistic people, your voices, the voices of people with a learning disability, your voices, and the voices of families and carers were absolutely not heard within the health and care services, that you were treated so very, very differently. And you know, I have to put my hand on my heart, and I have to put my hands up and say, I was part of that problem, because I had absolutely no idea that it was happening to you. My eyes were closed, my ears were closed. I was ignorant, and I have to say that my ignorance cost Oliver his life. This cold hard reality and pure white anger drove me forward in developing Oliver's campaign and ultimately his training. Do you know, it was so wrong that neurodivergent people are being treated in the way that they are. It is wrong that staff, good staff who really want to do the best, they were not given quality training in understanding people who have a learning disability, in understanding autistic people. And you know, something had to be done to address the culture, the unfairness, the prejudice, the bias, and the exclusion. And this is exactly where the Oliver McGowan mandatory training on learning disability and autism was born. this room, we didn't want just any training. We've got plenty of that, haven't we? But clearly, the training out there wasn't making much difference in the way that people with a learning disability and autistic people were treated. And it was certainly not having an impact on the appalling mortality rates and experiences published by the Learning Disability Mortality Review. Oliver's training had to be different, it just had to be different. And that difference, it wasn't hard. This is not hard, it's not rocket science. That difference was actually listening to and working with people with real lived experience. They had to co-develop that training together to work collaboratively. Their voices had to lead the way. As Sean and Alan and Hazel said, you must nothing about them without them. Look, I know many people in the room today have been with us on that journey. If we want to truly understand anything about learning disability and autism, we must learn directly from autistic people and people with a learning disability, their families and their carers. Neurotypical people do not know what it feels like to be autistic. Of course they don't. They don't know what it feels like to have a learning disability. Therefore, they do not possess the skills or the knowledge from a direct lived experience. Of course they don't. And you know, I was adamant that this was the key to success. Oliver's voice wasn't heard, but he had an awful lot to say. If his voice had been heard, we would have learned. Oliver's training had to be designed, developed and delivered with experts with lived experience, absolutely leading the way. And this was the absolute key to success for making Oliver's training as meaningful and as powerful as it is. And I know for many of you, this will be deeply personal, I know that, as well as part of your work. Thank you for helping me to get Oliver's training into legislation, into law. You have all helped make history. I'm going to give you a jazz hand for that. Now, the response from those taking part in the trials and who have already completed the first part of the training, the e-learning, I can't tell you, it has been simply outstanding. Over 1 million e-learning sessions have been launched. Let's just pause for a minute. That is over 1 million in such a short space of time. And now, due to demand, we have shared it with other countries across the world. Other countries are asking for this training. Now, I continuously receive the most heartfelt and positive feedback. Every day, people complete the e-learning and then contact me personally to tell me their story and how the e-learning is making a real difference. Many are so impressed with the training that they are sharing it on social media as well. And I hope that you will share all of your messages today on social media and spread that word. And I wanted to share just a few of those messages with you today. And the first message comes from a mum. And she says, just yesterday, sorry, there's a shine on the paper, I went through a pre-op assessment over the phone for my daughter. And she's autistic, and she's also experienced seizures. And I could hear the training had been carried out by the nurse on the other end of the line. And she asked all the right questions. She has gone on to make arrangements for me to be there when my daughter wakes up from her surgery. A side room is being made available, and all staff will be informed how to approach my child. What a difference that makes. This message comes from another proud mother, and she says, I love the way the acknowledgements for the training have been written. Some of the people involved have the title Expert with Lived Experience. What a wonderful way to put it. As the mother to a child with complex medical needs who finds it ridiculous that the skills we have learned through raising our children is not universally recognised, I am over the moon that you have made me aware of a new title for myself. And this message comes from a clinician, and she says, I wanted you to know that we are learning and we are all talking about Oliver. This is from a daughter. My dad is a paramedic and recently took your training training course. He told me he thought it was great and really informative. He also said it taught him about my autistic son, also called Oliver, and it helped him to understand him. He said it will definitely help him with patients moving forward, and he will change the approach he normally would have taken. I have to say I've received many messages like this from health and care staff, all saying they will change their practices going forward, following just the first part of the training. Incredible. Now we are going to have the images of our ministers. We've been incredibly fortunate to have had 4 different ministers involved throughout the journey of Oliver's training, and I've got to say they have been absolutely fantastic. It started with Caroline Dinich, followed by Helen Watley, Gillian Keegan, and now Maria Caulfield. And all of them have been passionate, committed, supportive, but most of all, they have shared our vision for ensuring that autistic people and people with a real, with learning disabilities receive excellent health and social care. With colleagues, we now meet regularly with the Minister for Mental Health, the wonderful Maria Caulfield, who is in fact a working nurse herself. And that's to ensure the progress on the code of practice and the delivery of the training. I've got to say, and this isn't in my script, I'm going to say it, and I hope Eleanor will pass this on. Maria is wonderful, she really is. And it's ironic that at the heart of Oliver's training is ask, listen and do. And I have to say, every time we meet Maria, every 6 weeks, she asks us those questions. She asks what my concerns are, she asks the team. And then she listens, and it's not tokenistic, she really listens. And then she actually does something about it. And I'm speaking from the heart, and I am speaking the truth. She is absolutely wonderful, as all of them have been. Now, throughout our journey, we have been asked about whether Oliver's training could be used in other services such as education, the police, fire service, and the justice services, the prisons. And as a result of this, we met with Caroline Dinich, who's the Minister of State for Digital and Culture, and of course was involved in Oliver's training. And we went on to meet Gillian Keegan, the Secretary of State for Education, again involved in Oliver's training. And that was to talk about Oliver's training and where we are at it at the moment. So much so, I've actually gone on to start a new petition asking for Oliver's training to be, to be shared across education, all education sectors. And I hope every single one of you will sign that petition today because it's really important. Now, every week we meet with universities, medical schools, health and care providers. And I am contacted by people across the globe, and I mean the globe, especially in Australia. And in recent months, we have met with the CEOs of integrated care boards, large NHS and care organisations, as well as membership organisations, who were all deeply committed to Oliver's training. Now, I was delighted to present Oliver's training to Ruth May, our Chief Nursing Officer of England, at her summit last year, and recently at the Royal College of Psychiatrists International Congress. All again, really championing Oliver's training. Now, earlier this year, we invited senior leaders to become champions for Oliver's training. And we were overwhelmed with the response, so much so that we've shared their videos on our web pages. Now, we do have many requests from people asking how they can become a champion for Oliver's training, and we are creating new champion packs. Soon, individuals, teams and organisations can access those champion packs to help them to spread the word far and wide about Oliver's training. And I know we have a room full of champions here today, and I'm going to give you all the jazz hands. I hope many of you will have seen the badges on your table that has the team have developed. And like me, I hope every single one of you will wear yours with pride. Now, each step along this journey has been made together. We have many voices calling for the same change. And when I think about that journey we have been on together, at the beginning, I was working through the night. It was very, very lonely. I didn't know what I was doing. I was working over 13 hours. I was working in the daytime teaching, and I was campaigning in I was celebrating every single signature to help us reach that debate in Parliament. You all helped make that happen. And now we have it written into law that employers in health and care must ensure that their staff have appropriate training in learning disability and autism. It came from a thought, and now it's in law and in legislation, making a difference. Now, through the training trials, we worked with partners across the country to understand what training would have the greatest impact. Now, we have approved training packages and approved trainers who, as we speak, even now, are delivering Tier 1 and Tier 2 of Oliver's training across health and social care. Now, we should all be proud of the increasing awareness, change and difference we are already making. We are thrilled at how many trainers have been trained already, and I'm so pleased that we have some of our approved trainers here with us today to help us to celebrate. Again, thank you. Trainers, and I am speaking directly to all of you in this room today, you are essential to delivering on this training. We cannot do this without you. You play a huge part. The training relies on experts with real lived experience, co-trainers, sharing your voices and your stories to help make real change. Now, to our wonderful leaders in the room today, we need your help to roll out Oliver's training, to make sure that enough people are trained to deliver the training in the consistent way that it has been developed and designed. You can help to grow the numbers of co-trainers to deliver Oliver's training across health and care. It's a huge responsibility, and we're relying on you to do that. Oliver is relying on you to do that. Our vision is that Oliver's training will not only change and improve health and care services, but it will provide opportunities for real and meaningful employment, not just tokenistic. This is meaningful employment. People with a learning disability and autistic people continue to face the highest rates of unemployment in the UK. And I think every single one of us can agree that that is totally unacceptable. Health and care employers have the chance to make a real difference. You can commit to employing people with a learning disability and autistic people as co-trainers for Oliver's training. For many co-trainers, maybe some of you in the room today, this could actually be your first experience of employment. And I know that many of you in the room are all working incredibly hard to make this a positive and life-changing experience for our co-trainers. And I really look forward to learning from people's experiences today and how you can make that happen. Tom and I are really grateful that you have chosen to be a part of Oliver's legacy, part of his training, and part of making a real difference to people with a learning disability, autistic people, and to our health and care staff, who all deserve to be given the best training. I know, of course I know, that we still have a lot to learn and we have a long way to go. We can do this by working together. We must be strong. We must carry on, just like Oliver, with a good heart, strength and determination. We truly hope that you will continue going forward, please keeping Oliver in your hearts and your minds, and join us in changing culture that has not always been kind or accepting of our neurodivergent communities.
Hello. I normally don't step out front of house, it's normally Paula, but today I've been invited to say a few words, which I'm really honoured to do. So, and also to meet people in the room. So, I've already said hello to Tim, Sean and Hazel, who I've spoken to online, but not face to face. So please do come and speak in the margins. We fly back to Australia tonight, and it'd be lovely to meet all of you, if possible, before we go. I would also like to just call a shout out for NHSE and the people who've pulled this together today. Devon, Claire, Amanda, the rest of the team, Philippa, and Tim in the background there. They've been instrumental in delivering the vision that was Paula's vision 5 years ago, really, when this all started. So let's just say thank you to Paula for also thank you to DHSE and Eleanor's here today. She's going to talk a little bit later around about the code of practice and some of the work around that that's going on, but again, helping to deliver what is going to be change in the future. So I'd like to just start by saying it gives me great pride that Oliver is giving a voice to those who are so often not heard. And as Paula has just mentioned, we still have a long way to go in rolling out Oliver's training. We are at such an early stage and it's a crucial point of the journey. This is ambitious work. We are asking you, the NHS, one of the largest employers in the world, as well as care providers across England, to ensure all their staff complete training they have never done so before. You need to do this because we cannot afford more mistakes, any more lost lives like Oliver's. We know over 2 million staff in health and care need to be trained. To make this happen, we need to recruit hundreds more co-trainers from a wide range of backgrounds. Here we see Oliver's training bringing about change on every level. Employers need to work with experts with lived experience to co-deliver the training. Employers need to welcome and support co-trainers as employees and make adjustments in the workplace. A key milestone on our journey was the launch of the draft Code of Practice in June. The Code of Practice is important as it tells employers how they need to train their staff. We must make sure that staff receive excellent training in learning disability and autism that will make a difference. Oliver's training was independently evaluated and is proven to have made a difference to the thousands of staff who have took part in the pilot of the training and has therefore been used to set the standards now included within the code. We hope to continue evaluating Oliver's training over the next 4 to 5 years to see the difference it makes in health and care services and the real impact of Oliver's training on improving outcomes for all of you in the room and all autistic and people with a learning disability in England. There is a lot still to do as we move through each stage of our journey. We will need to overcome challenges, continue to learn and work together. We can do this by staying focused on achieving our shared vision to prevent further avoidable deaths like Oliver's from happening over and over, to save and improve lives.
Let's use this day to celebrate what we've achieved so far and really be proud. We look forward to meeting you and hearing your voices and your roles in delivering Oliver's training. Once again, from our hearts, on behalf of Oliver, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
I would like to say a really, really big thank you to Paula and Tom for giving them a really big jazz hands, please, because it was a really motivational and important speech and powerful, and it's really good to see, actually meet you in person, not on a screen, and hear about the work that you've done, and I really, really do think it's going to make a huge difference to people's lives, and just really thank you. And now I would like to introduce on-screen consultant psychiatrist Dr. Adrian James to give us his thoughts on Oliver's training.
Royal College of Psychiatrists for 3 years until about 3 weeks ago. It's been my privilege in my now nearly 40-year career as a doctor And I'd like to start by paying tribute to Paula McGowan. I mean, Paula has shown incredible commitment, generosity and steadfastness in campaigning successfully to ensure that training for health and care staff in relation to neurodiversity is made mandatory. And she's done this in memory of her amazing son. We've heard the stories of his incredible life of Oliver McGowan, who died tragically and unnecessarily in 2016. Now, Paula's sole aim has been to save lives, and the Oliver McGowan training does just that. And Paula's passion and her commitment are evident throughout the training, which has a particular energy and urgency about it, and which is constructed in an accessible and interesting way, and is delivered by those who know this all best, those with lived experience. So my overall advice is do the training, think about it, use it, and save lives. Now, the training is a legal requirement as from the 1st of July 2022, but that's not why you should do it. It would genuinely improve the care that you can provide, and I believe improve you as a person and a practitioner. Now, the Oliver McGowan training is the preferred and recommended training for health and social care staff, and it's the best mandatory training that I've undertaken in all the mandatory training I've done in the last 40 years, and I've actually been privileged to have been trained in neurodiversity because there was a particular person with an interest in the Southwest. So even as a trainee, I had quite extensive training, but the Oliver McGowan training is the best that I have done. And I would support the rollout of this training to all those who work in caring professionals, such as teachers, because all of us, whatever we do, we will come into contact with neurodiverse people. And it also has lessons for all of us in how we organise training generally, and that's really helped me. So it's helped me think, it's helped me to communicate, it's helped me to establish a rapport, and it's helped me in my wider training. Now, I've also watched the new animation, and I think it's really important that that animation starts with the positive values that are there within all healthcare workers when they actually go to do these amazing roles. And so it's both a tribute to Oliver and it explores his tragic story, and I think it's really important that people understand the importance of this and what can happen if we don't do the training and we don't apply the training. But it also emphasises the importance of listening to families and those with lived experience. So it is about culture, it is about hearts and minds. It's not about finger pointing, it's about improving care and saving lives. So I hope the rest of the day goes well. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, that's because I'm working in a clinical role today, and I wish you all the best with this and how you apply the training in future to improve your care. Thank you so much for listening.